Well, we've served up some treats for you already here at Reds Bar Stage 2 in the afternoon session of the UK Open. The last 32, 10-8 victories for Danny Noppert and for Michael Smith. And, hey, look, we might see a couple of close games coming up. The defending champion James Wade was incredible in holding off Steve Lennon yesterday. He takes on Ron the Bomb Meulenkamp, who came through a thriller with Christoph Kachuk. But it was a thriller for Jonny Clayton last night as well. We nearly saw the ferret dumped out by Martin Lukeman. It went all the way to a last leg decider, and the only thing that saved the ferret was Martin Lukeman having a bit of a mare at the start of the leg. He kicked off, I think, 43, 45, 41. And so Jonny Clayton got over the line by 10 legs to 9. Jose de Sousa had a pretty close game with Steve West, winning it by 10 legs to 7. Not firing on all cylinders. The Portuguese man of scores, the special one, former Grand Slam champion. Looking to reach the last 16 for the second year in a row, having done so last year. But Jonny Clayton, a semi-finalist a couple of years ago. That money is coming off his ranking, of course. So he's actually provisionally set to drop a place in the world rankings to number 9 in the world. Unless, of course, he goes on a little run.
He is revisiting Reds Bar, where he got his 9 dart out, of course, 2 years ago. Good to be back, Jonny. Great to have you with us. A lot of the chatter about the top of the rankings has been about, about Gerwyn Price, his World Cup partner, and Peter Wright, and of course Michael van Gerwen. But Clayton's still going in the right direction when it comes to that order of merit. There's been a lot of casualties towards the top end of the order of merit. Like Ratajski, Chisnell, Cullen, Cross are all gone. Anderson, the biggest casualty, at number 6 in the world. But Clayton is going to stay in the top 10 by the end of the week. And he just needs to maybe do well here and do well at the match play to get himself further up the rankings as de Sousa dips his bread.
The ferret, double 14. Can't get it, and Jose de Sousa, piling in a 180 in the very first leg, has bought himself an opportunity. Tops is the choice.
21. Jonny, you require 28.
I think when he threw that, he thought that was going in. Is this one? Jonny Clayton gets the start. There's a bit more of a feisty nature about Jonny Clayton these days, isn't there? Because 2 years ago, before this swarm of stuff that he's done, he would just motor along, but now there's a bit more of him looking down the lens and pointing towards his fans.
Well, I genuinely think Jonny Clayton has changed. He has always been a sort of happy-go-lucky kind of character who knows he's a good dart player, and you know it's a game of darts, you know, and we can all beat each other. We're all very good. He's convinced himself over the last 18 months that he is not just one of the best players in the world, one of the very best. We are talking top 4 or 5 players on the planet, and he knows it. There's a very, very strong argument that Jonny Clayton has been the best player in the world over the last 18 months. Certainly look at the number of big TV titles. You know, many people believe that had he not been beaten in arguably the game of the tournament by Michael Smith at the World Championship, it would be Jonny Clayton world champion as well.
You're trying to tell me that Jonny Clayton now believes that in crisp terms he's beef hula hoops?
Well, I mean, that's a subjective view, but it is also a subjective view about who you think is the best player on the planet right now. And there's a very strong argument for that little Welshman, because there is no out-and-out dominating force in the game.
Have you ever shook hands with Jonny Clayton and Peter Wright? Because they have something.
I mean, not at the same time, no.
They've got something in common. It's like they're made of granite. I wouldn't want Jonny Clayton to run into me at speed, that's for sure. Double 16. And he's getting the kind of start that tells me that he is here, not just to beat de Sousa, but to absolutely dismantle him.
Well, he has had some significant victories over Jose de Sousa. He, of course, beat him in the Premier League final to win the title. He beat him on the way to the Grand Prix title last year. He beat him on the way to the Masters title last year. He also, actually, a few years ago, beat him at the European Championship. When it comes to TV knockout games, then Jose de Sousa hasn't beat him. He's got 1 win in the Premier League against him.
4 perfect darts at the start of this leg, and he's definitely got the bit between his teeth. He's got his mate Kendall with him here this weekend, one of the nicest wingmen on tour.
One of the nicest, also one of the gruffest. Never heard a voice like it.
Little good darts, Tony, little good darts.
What a guy he is. Love Kendall. Great man to be around. And sometimes it's worth noting as well, as Clayton gets his second 180 of the leg, that the people around these players play a huge part in their success. Taking the pressure off, the transport element. They sometimes need someone to talk to, someone to complain to. But there's no complaining for Clayton, who was an absolute country mile ahead when it comes to confidence at the start of this one.
This is quite the start for Jonny the Ferret Clayton. And I can tell you that Gary Anderson was the highest ranked player to be out of the tournament. That has now been taken over by Michael van Gerwen, who has got a hiding from Damon Heta. Some of us predicted that, you know. 102.5 average, 67% on doubles. Damon Heta 10, Michael van Gerwen 4. MVG will not win the UK Open. He still remains potless in terms of major titles.
Well, I plucked for Damon Heta at the start of the season saying he'd win a Euro Tour. I may be wrong, because he might just be about to go on a huge major run. That, to me, is not a shock.
No, well, all it does is reflect the landscape of darts right now. You don't know what's going to happen. And it's exciting. But, my word, Jose de Sousa is getting annihilated by the Ferret here. Oh, and I mean, that doesn't help him either.
Nothing's going right. How many times has Clayton left 41 after 9? This is getting silly. And that is a 12 darter, and the average has gone up. And I almost feel like I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to jinx it.
Well, I'll tell you what, maths fans, he's gone 14 darter, 15 darter, 12 darter, 12 darter. Little clue for you. 15 darter's 100 average, 12 darter is 125.
This is destructive. This is like trying to blow over a house of cards with a bulldozer. This is not fair.
Oh, Jonny. Jonny. Oh. He's gone 4 darts into the 9. He's gone 5 darts into the 9. If he keeps on going further and further into the 9, he's going to hit it. But the thing is, Jonny Clayton may not have enough time because he might have already won 10-0 by then.
So Clayton's going to leave 41 again, right? After 9, because he's going to score 140 here. Because he can't score 180. Here we go. Oh, Jonathan Clayton.
He's using the 17s and stuff. The Ferret is learning the ways of the numbers.
That can't have been on purpose.
47. Jonny require 84.
So for an 11 darter, or another 12. Double 8. Wow. 36 darts to win the last 3 legs. That is stratospheric.
Jose de Sousa had a couple of darts in the very first leg of this match to break Jonny Clayton's throw. He missed them both, and he has not had a dart at double since.
When you look at someone averaging north of 115, you think that maybe their doubles percentage is around 80 to 90%. A bit like it was against Wade in the Masters in the quarterfinal, which didn't get Performance of the Year last year, which I think is a criminal offence. But the checkered percentage for Clayton is 55%, so it could have been better.
Right, it must feel incredible to be Jonny Clayton right now.
Well, I want to be Jonny Clayton when I grow up.
Well,
There might not be a break in this game.
This is a genuine possibility at the minute, which is a ridiculous thing to suggest against a man who is ranked number 7 in the world in Jose de Sousa. But Jonny Clayton is on a rampage.
This is the equivalent in golf of being 8 down in a match play match after 8 holes. You might think you might not win a hole. Clayton, he'll probably hit this.
Probably. Possibly. Oh my word!
He's human. Oh, so typical. Double 4 to get his first leg. And I think Jose is doing the right thing checking here.
57.
It's only his 3rd dart and a double in the match.
Well, taking out 25, there aren't many better on the planet than Jonny Clayton. But he finally makes a mistake.
Jose, you require 8.
Tiniest little bit of a breather here for the man from Portugal. Double 2. That's awkward.
6 score.
You can see that he's been beaten to a pulp.
Jonny, you require
He's
8.
dazzled. You're not getting darts at doubles in most of the legs, and so when you do, there's even more pressure on them.
This has got no right to go in over the top. Double 2.
6 score.
It's one of those legs, isn't it?
Jose, you require
Well, we've had
2.
the sublime, and we're now having the ridiculous.
Working his way in. Yeah, really nicely done there. Jose de Sousa with the sarcastic celebration. He manages to hold his throw and get his first leg on the board.
Game on.
Well, darts fans, we are going to have a second session of this match. That's guaranteed now. What is also guaranteed is that Michael van Gerwen is no longer in the top 3 in the world rankings.
Wow.
Down to number 4. He could go down to number 5 if Michael Smith were to reach the final.
That hasn't happened,
140.
I think, for about 9 years. I think it was 2013 the last time he was... Because when he won the World Grand Prix in 2012, he was very close to the top 4, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was all happening at that point, and then he just got there and stayed there. And was literally at a point where he could have taken a year off darts and remained as world number 1. Such was the chasm between himself and everybody else.
Well, James Wade is looking to get
85.
himself to number 3, of course. And he comes next against Ron Meulenkamp. And he's looking to defend his title, of course. And Clayton has got the honour of trying to defend certain titles this year, like the Premier League, the World Grand Prix, World Series finals. But I think what he wants is to check some other things off his list.
Treble 13 is the usual play.
Ooh, conventional city.
89.
I thought he might have gone treble 7 bull.
Jonny, you require 156.
I think de Sousa may have just withstood the onslaught.
Jose, you require
He's still got a lot of work to do.
32.
Hit this. Oh, this is tricky.
No score.
Just too many misses. Giving Clayton too many chances when he's having an off
96.
spell.
He is having an off spell here, Jonny Clayton, after 5 legs of untouchable stuff.
87.
And it continues,
Jose,
this
you
off
require
spell.
32.
Second attempt at 32 with 3 darts in hand. That's closer than before. Oh, it's same sort of thing. Just whack it in. Unbelievable. 6 darts, caressing
Jonny, you require
just
9.
outside the outside wire of that 32 bed. And Clayton goes for double 4. And he gets a gift and unwraps it for a 6-1 lead.
5 legs of brilliance, 2 very scruffy legs. De Sousa only wins 1 of them.
Well, de Sousa's averaging 77, And Clayton, with all of the scruffy stuff on the last 2 legs, is still averaging 103.
95.
That tells you how good he was playing in the first 5 legs of the contest.
Well, at 5-0 up, I didn't catch the scoreboard because I was too busy watching him win legs in
41.
about 80 seconds.
117.
Ooh. Mind you, Steve Lennon was averaging more than that 6 legs into his game the other day, and he was 3 all.
Yeah, I think Steve Lennon might still be shaking his head right now as to how he somehow was palmed off by Wade. I mean, that quality of being able to defy an average in the high 100 teens is something I just can't fathom.
No, absolutely baffling. You will see James Wade begin or continue his title defence, begin his Saturday action against Ron the Von Meulenkamp to wrap up this afternoon's session here, and we may not have long to wait because Jonny Clayton is in a rush.
In darts, for many decades now, we've had the Bob Anderson point
81.
with the right hand. Now we have got the Jonny Clayton point with the other hand, but it's to the camera.
Yep,
He's a bit like Zoolander.
The old ferret finger has become a regular thing in
Jose
PDC
require
darts.
142.
Plenty of reasons to celebrate if you're Jonny Clayton. 17s, now the bullseye. Okay. Yeah, we got there in the end.
Jonny require 120.
Everything up top. 3 + 1 + 2 equals the requisite amount of 20s that you need for a Shanghai finish. Beautifully done. And if he has another hot spell here, it's going to be 9-1 in the break.
Well, it turns out that Jonny Clayton coming off the boil only lasted for a couple of legs.
85.
Because he is back, bubbling hot like a soup in a pot. In the words of the great Pat O'Banton.
Nice.
Thanks.
100.
I didn't see that coming today.
No, neither did I.
96.
Jonny Clayton knows how to get things done. He knows how to change things up when he has that little off spell. He's been a little bit fortunate on a couple of occasions in this match in the middle portion. But is he of the same sort of ilk as Simon Whitlock, that he's never going to change his dart shirt? Because that dart shirt hasn't really changed, has it, over the last few years?
Trying to think, I'm sure he had another option, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
In his early career, he had a purple shirt, but it was not really as branded as this.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't fully... he embraces the ferret nickname.
100.
After a few years ago, there was the travesty of ITV4 trying to run a poll to change it, and then he just ignored it and carried on with the ferret. But it's not like
96.
we've not gone full Johan Engstrom and embraced the sort of ferret aspect of it and have a big cartoon ferret or anything. And I think I appreciate that. Another 120 checkout? What a guide. Oh, you are so good, Jonny Clayton.
I'm trying to liken him to something that I really respect.
35.
And in musical terms, right now he's hitting all the notes. He's a bit like Mark Knopfler with the guitar.
140.
Just perfect. I also wanted to call him Johnny Cash. That's one of my sort of affectionate nicknames for him. Let's face it, over the last 18 months, he's been a cash machine.
He really has. He really, really has.
How much belief do you think is left in Jose de Sousa? He's left 127 for this game, but at 8-1 down against someone playing this well, how much do you genuinely believe you can win this game?
I don't know. He may already be thinking of it like when you go in at half-time in the football and the manager says, look, you're 6-0 down, just try and win the second half. Just try and come out of it with some credit. Forget about what's gone before. The match has already gone.
125.
Surprised he didn't leave double 18 there. So, looking to get the 85 the Peter Wright way, which of course won him this title. 1916 in Bull.
60. Jonny require 91.
This will be the first nail in the coffin, I think.
Well, it's already looking pretty firmly shut. Ooh, right on the wire for Jonny Clayton. So to double his legs tally.
Too many misses and too many chances given to Clayton. To put himself within one, he needs 10s, and I don't think he's going to miss.
I don't either, really. And I don't think Jonny did. Certainly Jose de Sousa didn't. It is 9-1. It is an annihilation of the world number 7. Jonny Clayton strides off stage. He'll be back in a moment to complete the victory. I can see no other outcome. Jose de Sousa has just been watching Jonny Clayton produce sublime darts for most of this game, and you are watching Jonny Clayton move through to the last 16 of the Kazoo UK Open. Jose de Sousa, the first man out, just trying to warm up the arm. I don't see any way back for him against a rampant Jonny Clayton, who leads 9-1 in a race to 10. To update you on the other boards going on right now, Mensur Suljovic came from 7-4 down to beat Geert Nenchez by 10 legs to 8, and averaged over 100 in the process. Very impressive for the man who's turned 50 today, Mensur Suljovic. We did see Keen Barry in charge against Neil Zonneveld. It has just gone to a last leg decider, though. I think Barry may have been something like 7-4 up in that game. And one of the stories of this weekend, the 19-year-old Polish lad who hit a 9-darter on debut at the UK Open last year, Sebastian Bielecki, is 5-2 up on the Diamond Ian White, looking to reach the last 16 of the tournament. Boris Krichmar, we know, on his debut here, has already reached the last 16. We've seen Danny Noppert come through on this board already. Rapid, Ricky Evans, Dirk van Duijvenbode and Ryan Searle also winners already, with Dirk van Duijvenbode the standout performer of the day, averaging close to 106. But Jonny Clayton is producing something similarly magnificent. The average has dropped to about 99 after a couple of scruffy legs in the middle of that first session, but the stuff either side of it is absolutely irresistible, and Jose de Sousa certainly has been unable to resist it.
Completely agree. Neil Zonneveld is now playing that last leg decider with Keen Barry after missing a match start on a 1-2-2 checkout. Missed it at double 7.
61.
They're trading ton-plus visits in the last leg, those two. Maybe a look at the future, but the present here on stage 2 is very much about a very feisty and irresistible Clayton, who every now and again just reminds you how good he can be. This is one of those moments.
Well, what's been happening on a regular basis over the last few weeks is various pundits get asked who's the best player in the world, and they'll give an answer, and they'll give a different answer next week, and they'll give a different answer the week after that, and a different answer after that. But Jonny Clayton is certainly in the discussion. And a decent setup shot here could wrap things up for the Ferret in double quick time for the most dominating of victories we've seen in this particular round today. He will have a look at the 70 checkout, Jonny Clayton, to consign Jose de Sousa to an exit in the last 32. Treble 18, it's a 12, so that leaves him 58. Single 18 now for tops. Match start, Jonny Clayton, and that is 10-1. Jose de Sousa did not have an answer. Sublime from the Ferret, who powers into the last 16. And just to let you know, the young Irishman, Keen Barry's there as well after a 12-darter in his last leg decider, 1-2-1 finish. So incredible stuff from the Ferret, incredible stuff from Dynamite Keen Barry. We've got one more match for you. We've already seen incredible stuff from James Wade at Reds Bar on stage 2 this weekend. Can he reproduce some of that magic that he produced against Steve Lennon yesterday as he faces Ron the Bomb Muhlenkamp in the final game of this afternoon session?